Okay, so I suppose you have already found your answers, and let me show you my solution and how I work it out. Before we start, let's remind ourselves we are trying to find the amount of CO2 in kg that is equivalent per kg meat that the animal have. So for our calculation, it's not just one single person, but also you probably need to divide his or her own mass. Okay, so per kg meat, you should pay attention to that later on. Don't get me wrong, I am not trying to encourage any sort of cannibalism by all means. However, there is a very interesting story, by the way, that I would like to share with you very quickly, and that was a real incident of cannibalism. It is related to a person, a young sailor called Richard Parker. For some of you may know about it, because this is a real incident that turned into the story called The Life of Pi. You may have read the book or watched the movie before. You may be wondering, why would I know such a horrible incident, and like how come I would know the details so much? This is because I studied about this from the Harvard course called Justice by Professor Michael Sandel. He actually got a book as well, so if you like to read the books, please go for it. It is very interesting to talk about some very fundamental moral ideas and ethics. He also gets a free online course as well, so if you simply just search the name online, you'll be able to watch all the lectures for free. Highly recommended. Okay, so back to our question. So the first thing that you need to know, because we are trying to think about when we try to consume the beef, that would obviously be a serious issue, because beef itself took a lot of CO2 to produce the meat itself. So that's why we need to know how much beef we will have to consume for every single person. So since I come from Hong Kong, obviously my audience mainly are from Hong Kong, then what we can see here is you can see Hong Kong is actually quite terrible, because we are like the top three like people that consume the beef the most. Alright, so we'll take this as a number later on for reference. And as I know, the other main audience of my channel actually are from India. So in fact, India is doing really well. I mean, if you think about in terms of keeping the world away from CO2 by not eating the beef, you can see here, right? They are doing very, very well on this. So good job, Indian. Okay, so from the chart we get the first parameter as 114.3, that is the pound per capita. By the way, per capita means for a single person in that year only. The second thing that you need to know is probably you want to convert that into kg. So I'm not sure if this is a common sense to you. 1 kg is roughly 2.2 pounds. If you don't know, you can go and ask Google, obviously. One other thing that for sure you need is the number for the cow, which is 46.2 kg of CO2 for each kg of beef. So pay attention to the unit here. It's a bit tricky. It is somewhat like kg per kg, but then the kg of something is a bit different. It's kg of CO2 per kg of beef. Next, the thing that you want to think about is, since we are talking about for a person, so we will need to think about the life expectancy of a single person, because ultimately that's the life that you are taking, and that's how long time you have been consuming beef normally. So if you go and search its life expectancy for Hong Kong people, it's actually quite insane, because it is literally the top in the world. So for the number here, it says 84, but there is already the old data, so it's 2017. If you try to go to another website, you can see that again Hong Kong is really the top in the world, and the life expectancy by taking average of male and females, it is about 85.29. Alright, it's literally top in the world. So I'll put down 85.29 years of life expectancy for a person. The next thing that you need is the mass. So again, I took the references and I find out for male and female, these are the average mass in Hong Kong, and I'll just simply divide by 2. So yeah, in case you are interested, then I'll put the link of all these different data, different references in the description below, and you can check it. So yeah, that's the mass of an average person in Hong Kong. Alright, so I think all these 5 can already help us to get to the final answer. So the first thing I want to do is how much beef do we actually consume for our whole life in Hong Kong. So as I took the number 114.3 pound per person per year, which was per capita, multiplied with our life expectancy about 85 years, then that is the amount of beef in pound that we get for our whole life on average. So what you can do first is by writing down the units, you can find out per year here and years here, you can cancel them out. The next thing that I would like to do is convert these, because I really hate seeing the non-SI units. So let's change it to kg. So by dividing 2.2, which if you really want to express a unit, that's gonna be 2.2 pound per kg, because that's what it is from the information number 2. And then you can again cancel out the pound at the top and the pound here, so leaving you 2.2 per kg basically. And the thing that you can do next is multiply this one, and this is the value we get from the first article basically. So how much CO2 will produce per 1 kg of beef. So here again I'll use a very strange unit called kg per 1 kg, but again notice that it is CO2 on the top and the beef at the bottom for this fraction. Once again, you can cancel out the units kg here and kg here, because they both are referring to the kg of the beef. And then what I do is I multiply 66.0 kg here, because that is the average mass of a person in Hong Kong. Like we said, we are trying to find out per kg of meat of a person, right? Again, no cannibalism is being encouraged here. Finally, if you try to input everything in the calculator, then we will be able to find out it will be 3,100 something. So I will run it up to 360, I believe, because by looking at this, in fact the pound is actually having a 0 here, so 2.20, and therefore you get 3.10 times 10 to the power of 3 kg of CO2 per kg of meat on your body. I'm not sure if it is because of me talking about cannibalism and now there is thunderstorm. Anyway, back to here. What I want you to think about is, for the calculation that I showed you just now, can you think of any sort of assumptions that I've made but I have not stated previously? So you can see 1 to 5 here. Of course, some of them are the assumption, some of them are from the measurement or statistic from the references. But then, other than these 5, are there any other assumptions that I should declare or I should further clarify or rectify? Pause the video, think about it, and I'll tell you one very important one I can think of.
A few moments later.
My answer is really back to our original question. It's talking about CO2 per kg meat. So you can't say that the whole body of your mass is meat, right? Because you have other things like the water or bones or some other body tissue. So I guess let me try to make it more accurate by saying how much muscles that you have in your body. So here is a source of reference that it referred to a study in 2000 from a journal called Journal of Applied Physiology, and here will be the muscle mass percentage. So you can see for different age, different gender, it will be different. So I think I will take a more generous number so that our final answer could actually be somewhat lower. So I think I would take 35, because it should be quite generous already, because you don't even see 35 in women in general. So I guess 35 is a pretty good estimation here already. So back to here, what I will need to do is I will have to rectify or update my mass in the calculation. by multiply 0.35 because these are only the mass you have for muscles only. So instead of the answer of about 3,000, you should have the answer as about 8,800 something. So it's way bigger. To summarize this question and also the video itself, I would say when we try to blame the cow for producing so much CO2 and also blame for their farting, the methane, I think we should really try to self-reflect when we try to eat the beef. I mean, most of the cow exists because we make it as a business. I mean, people grow them so then it can be consumed by us simply. And if we just think about how much beef that we eat every year, it's actually a lot of CO2, alright, in terms of our tiny body. If you try to compare really the per kg of meat or muscles for the cow and ourselves, it's actually a great deal of difference, about 200 times of difference. So maybe next time when you try to think about what meats to eat, maybe you can think about other choices, and maybe you could tell other people to choose something other than beef as well to protect our earth, to give a better place to our next generation. And this video is sponsored by... No, not sponsored by any company. But then what I want to say about this is you may have heard about a company called Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat or something. Those are the companies, more than one company, that made plant-based meat. That means they simply grow the meat in the laboratory. So it's not from the animal at all. So other than the pain that they receive, it's claimed that it would produce less carbon footprint by a large amount. So this is the way that they want to get into the market. And this, of course, is one of the very important development field in STEM as well. So you may have always heard of robotics, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, VR, those things. But then here, this is also one very important stream in STEM in the future as well. So what do you think about this kind of meats then? Let me know in the comment section below. But then one thing that people would say, I mean not people, but scientists say about this is they are skeptical whether or not this could be a game changer, because this may not be reducing the carbon footprint as much as what the company claim. So, well, what do you think about these meats? Do you think it is ethical to grow this, or do you think we should do this because of the climate change? Let me know in the comment section below. That's really all for our video here. If you like this video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you again next time.